Overwatch 2 Season 8 is right around the corner, which means we're mere days away from Mauga finally landing on the scene, Mythic Grand Beast Orisa, and a whole new battle pass. But there are also some pretty significant changes coming to the balance side of the game that pretty much confirms the Overwatch 2 power creep, and some big changes in how levers are going to be dealt with, so let's take a dive. Hey, welcome to the channel. Aaron Keller released a brand new director's take, giving us a sneak peek at what we can expect in Season 8 when it comes to tweaks to Heroes kits. For a start, it's good news for Roadhog fans, as they seem pretty happy with how his rework is performing and won't be making any changes to it, at least for now. According to Keller, Roadhog's changes slingshotted him onto a level with the top performing tanks in the game, with a win rate at around 54%, and with Mauga set to make his official debut in a few days, and rocking a fair number of answers to Roadhog's kit, the devs are going to hang fire on any adjustments and see how the meta settles around what we can assume will be a slightly buffed Mauga before a mid-season patch to address any issues that might arise. Doomfist is getting a decent level buff to his ult to tackle a rising problem of players using Meteor Strike as an escape tactic rather than a high damage, high impact game changer, so to discourage players from wasting the ult to land on a health pack, Doomfist will now regenerate 75 health per second while he's in the air, so a potential regain upwards of 200 HP if they use the time available. The cost of the ult is going up a smidge to compensate, but on the whole it sounds like a decent lifeline for Doom, even if the overall area and damage still feels a little bit lacking. Outside of that, Ramatra is getting a base form buff, moving 100 of his health pool to armor instead, meaning he'll gain that 30% decrease to damage on the first 100 HP he loses. And his projectiles are getting a size up and damage increase to hopefully help Ram control a bit more space, even when he's not going big. And finally, a buff for Winston. When it comes to battling other tanks at least, or a solo brig, I guess, his Tesla cannon will now ignore armor's damage reduction. Very nice. And as far as Keller has said, no downside to balance it out, so I guess that base Ramatra buff isn't quite as good as it was. I'm sure it'll be fine. For DPS, there's another wave of changes on the way. Top of the list, Sombra. Fresh off a rework last season, Keller does at least acknowledge that she feels in a better place than she was before, and she is rocking a perfectly reasonable 45 to 48% win rate across all ranks, but that isn't stopping them giving her ult a little bit of a patch. EMP will now lock abilities for an entire 3 seconds, doubling its current time of effect, but its 30% damage to maxed health is getting dropped to 25% to balance it a little, and make her kit more about the actual hero archetype she represents than just sheer damage numbers. Soldier 76 is taking a minor nerf to his healing abilities. His self-sustain does see him generally sit as one of the more consistent DPS heroes and can make him a bit of a menace to deal with if he can keep that sustain going, and as a result they're knocking the cooldown for his heals up from 15 seconds to 18 seconds to hopefully make it harder for him to consistently be a thorn in the side of teams that don't manage to take just him out. And Tracer mains, you are finally seen. Welcome back. Her pulse pistols have been returned to their previous damage of 6 now that the spread and fall off bugs have been dealt with, and she'll probably feel that little bit better for it. Finally, we have supports. A constant issue, let's be honest, and if you're looking for sweeping changes, insights on Illari, or really anything of substance, you're going to be a little disappointed. Brig is getting a small nerf to her whip shot, reverting its damage back to how it used to be. Considering Keller mentions that they've had feedback that she is now a must pick, I'm not sure a small damage tweak is actually going to make that much difference, but then again, maybe that's the aim. Brig's only really good if you're in the top 500, and anywhere else, at least as far as I've seen, she's not quite the must pick that Keller mentions, so we'll see how it goes. And BAP's primary fire ammo is being knocked down from 45 to 36. So yeah, not much to write home about, considering that literally any other part of BAP's kit, what's an immortality field, am I right, is more of a problem than his actual damage potential, but you know, what can you do? So with all the changes, is it a big win or a massive L? Honestly, somewhere in between would probably be about right. The changes to tanks do kind of make sense in line with how they work out with other tanks, but the power creep currently running through that role in particular is going to start making the tank matchups even more important, especially at ranks below GM. That said, the Winston buff, that's the biggest win of the lot. Creative, not a direct DPS buff, so it doesn't make him stupid busted against the rest of the squishies. Yes, please, more of that kind of thing, Blizzard. On top of these changes, there are a few extra tweaks coming in around ults. They're reducing the ult charge that you start with when you switch from 25% down to 15%. The obvious intention, as Keller basically says, is to try and discourage constant counter swapping as soon as you die or burn your ult. Although whether it'll actually have that much of an impact on swapping in most ranks remains to be seen. I can't see it happening. Cheers for watching. Let me know what you reckon about all the changes down in the comments. Is there a power creep problem sneaking into the game? Let us know. And if you're looking for more Overwatch stuff like this, just check out these videos here.